Remember this play? With one rejection, LeBron cemented himself as the best player on the planet. And as the best player, it would make sense for LeBron to be the highest paid player in the league, right? That season, LeBron made about $23 million per year, the second highest in the league after Kobe. Still makes sense. But in the summer of 2016, just 1 month after the finals, there was another player who got a LeBron-sized contract. Reigning MVP Steph Curry? Russell Westbrook? Kawhi, maybe? Nope. Harrison Barnes. And that deal was far from the worst of them. Yes, the same Harrison Barnes who had just performed a disappearing act in the finals. The same Barnes who was the fourth best player on his own team. And in a month, he was earning more than his star teammates. Barnes wasn't the only one who cashed out. DeMarcus Cousins was arguably the most dominant center in 2017. There were two big men, one of which had career averages of 5 points and 4 rebounds, who ended up being paid more than Boogie. So, how did these underwhelming guys pull off one of the biggest NBA heists of all time? Insane contracts given out in 2016. Just ask Lakers fans. In the 2015-16 season, Harrison Barnes was still on his rookie contract. He was making just under $4 million a year. After the 2016 finals, he was a restricted free agent, and the Mavericks dangled a giant 4-year, $94 million contract to lure him away from Golden State. The Warriors, of course, had their eyes on a much bigger fish that summer. And when KD signed with Golden State, they moved on from Barnes, and Dallas was stuck with the bill. So, just how did this happen? And how did it make any sense for Dallas to pay him that much? In the summer of 2016, a new TV deal with the NBA kicked in. The league gave the rights to TNT and ESPN to keep showing NBA games, and the agreement gave the league $24 billion. That's billion, with a B. With the NBA rising in popularity, ESPN and Turner were willing to dole out the big bucks. This led to a huge spike in team salary caps. All of a sudden, teams had loads of spending money just dropped into their laps. But just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you know how to spend it. NBA general managers would soon prove this point. Wing players were the first to get paid. As the league shifted to small ball, these guys cashed in. Over in Memphis, the Grizzlies needed more outside shooting to keep up with the rampant three-point craze. So they handed three-point specialist Chandler Parsons a 4-year, $94 million deal, just like Barnes. Injuries plagued Parsons over the years, and he never lived up to the money. In Portland, the Trailblazers were in need of good wing players to complement their all-star guards Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. They doubled down on handing out bad contracts. They gave an extension to Allen Crabbe, hoping he'd continue to grow in their system. 4 years and $75 million was tossed his way. Portland soon realized this was a huge mistake. They traded Crabbe the next year just to dump his salary. Evan Turner got his Portland payday next. He made $16 million in his first year with the Blazers. For reference, Klay Thompson and Gordon Hayward also made $16 million that season, still on their old contracts. But one of the worst wing deals that summer was from the Charlotte Hornets. Buzz City had just made the playoffs and were riding high. The famously cheap Michael Jordan even said he was willing to open up his pocketbook to build on their success. That spending came in the form of a monster 5-year, $120 million extension to Nicholas Batum. It was the largest contract in Charlotte pro sports history at the time. The extension made some sense. Batum was a key part of the Hornets' playoff run, and his scoring and defense made him invaluable. But instead of growing and maturing in the next few years, he regressed. Combine that with some unfortunate injuries, and Batum's giant contract was on the books to eat up the Hornets' cap space all the way until 2022. Jordan isn't the only one who threw way too much money at an average player. Rim-protecting centers were also overvalued that summer. As the rest of the league shifted to small ball, some teams thought it'd be a good idea to use their spending money on centers. a position that has quickly become obsolete. In 2016, the New York Knicks boasted Melo and rising star Kristaps Porzingis. They believed the strong center would carry them back into relevance. Enter Joakim Noah, one of the top centers in the league just a few years earlier, the Defensive Player of the Year in 2014. The Knicks believed he was the answer to their problems, despite the fact that he was a slow-footed 31-year-old coming off an injury-riddled season in a league that was only getting faster. They offered Noah a 4-year, $72 million deal. Noah gave them 5 points and 5 rebounds a game that season, while making more money than Boogie Cousins. The Knicks eventually waived him in 2018. Some call the Noah contract the worst signing in Knicks franchise history. It's probably not far from the truth. In LA, things weren't much better for the Lakers. With young talents like D'Angelo Russell and Jordan Clarkson on the roster, they were looking for more size and length. But the 2 contracts they handed out that summer were arguably 2 of the worst signings of any team that offseason. They gave Timofey Mozgov $64 million for 4 years, and they gave Luol Deng $72 million for 4. The 2 played just over 100 games in a Lakers uniform, combined. All that money for a season and a half worth of games. Lakers fans everywhere still cringe at the mention of these 2 names. The list of guys who took advantage of the cap spike goes on. Kent Bazemore was given $70 million from the Hawks. Mike Conley was given a monstrous 5-year, $152 million deal, the largest contract in NBA history at the time. Jan Mahimi, who had career averages of 5 points and 4 rebounds per game, got $64 million from the Wizards. 2016 was the year of insanely bad contracts. It was the year of overpaying out of necessity. It was the year of having to outbid everyone else in free agency just to get an average player. A lot of teams are still regretting those contracts, but you can take it to the bank that the players who earned them aren't.